On the morning of September 8, 2025, the sun had just begun to rise over Chicago's South Loop. 31-year-old Romeca Meeks Blackman was doing what every mother does, dropping her son off at school, giving him that final goodbye hug before another busy day. Moments later, she was gone, shot in broad daylight, a young mother's life, cut short in front of the very place she felt safest. In every murder investigation, one question guides everything. Who had the motive, the means, and the opportunity? It's the question detectives ask when the trail runs cold. It's what turns random evidence into a case and a suspect into a killer. In today's story, we're breaking down a case that seemed picture-perfect on the outside. But when the truth came out, it was fueled by obsession, jealousy, and premeditated violence. This is not just a story about murder. It's about control, about rage, about what happens when fame and ego collide, and someone doesn't walk away. Let's investigate. Romika Meeks Blackman was 31 years old, a devoted mother with dreams, a heart filled with hope, and a son just starting first grade. She wasn't just another face in the crowd of Chicago's South Side. She was a mother, a student, a friend, and above all, someone whose life held promise. This is the story of Romika Meeks Blackman. The years before the tragedy, the dreams she carried, the note she left her son, and the community that still remembers her. Romika grew up in Chicago, surrounded by strength and love, in a family that called her Big Meeks. Her mother, Tina McMiller, described her as loving, supportive, and always showing up for her son. Though details of her childhood are scarce, what shines through in the public record is a woman who carried responsibility early on, a mother who prioritized her child above all else. By the age of 31, Romika had carved a path for herself. She was raising a young son, preparing him for first grade, and working toward becoming a nurse. Friends say she was always there for her son, reminding him, cheering him on, telling him he was the coolest, smartest, and funniest kid I know. On the morning of what should have been a normal school day, she left a handwritten note in his lunchbox, a mother's love laid bare. It was a fresh start. She walked her son into school in the South Loop of Chicago. The sun was up, the air was crisp. She crouched down and whispered words of encouragement. Then she parked her car, returned to walk to her vehicle, and that's when the world shifted. Little did she know that the words she just wrote would echo in balloons at a vigil days later. That morning, she wrote a simple note for his lunchbox. "You're the coolest, smartest, and funniest kid I know. I love you so much. Mommy loves you." A fresh start, a new school year, a mother's promise. Then at around 9:05 a.m., on the 2200 block of South State Street in Chicago's South Loop, she was fatally shot in the face. The school drop-off turned into a crime scene. Witnesses say the moment she returned to her car, a confrontation erupted. Her son's father, Carlos Way, plus another woman by his side, later identified as Holly Johnson. Tension, a headlock, a gun. That other woman allegedly pulled out a firearm and fired at point-blank range. Romika fell. The weapon hit her in the face. She was rushed to Stroger Hospital and later pronounced dead. The shock isn't just the gun, it's the setting. A mother's routine drop-off, bright morning light, a small boy watching, and the note she left, a moment of tenderness, turns into one of heartbreak. A suspect was detained. Videos began circulating. Social media erupted. Family members held vigil. Balloons released. A mother in agony. "I am broken. I am so broken," Romika's own mother said at the memorial. But the case raised deeper questions. Why did the fight explode into fatal gunfire just steps from a school? What role did the son's father play? A headlock, a watchful crowd, a tragic outcome. And the note? It's gone viral. A final message of love, stamped with "Mommy loves you." Now a haunting echo for a son who will never hear his mom say it again. In fewer than 10 minutes, a cheerful morning, a mother's loving action, a school car line, and a life ended. From a forensic psychology perspective, The case of Romeca Meeks Blackman bears all the hallmarks of an intimate partner-related homicide. It's not random, it's emotional, and it's deeply personal. Experts describe these crimes as the tragic end of a pattern. Not a single argument gone wrong, but the culmination of obsession, rejection, and rage. Control sits at the heart of this kind of violence. Domestic violence offenders often show an entitlement complex, believing they have the right to dictate how their partner lives, loves, and even leaves. As relationships fall apart, this sense of control slips away. And when a person driven by dominance loses control, anger can quickly turn to revenge. Romika's independence, her motherhood, her strength, may have represented everything her killer felt powerless to influence. The morning school drop-off might have been a simple routine for Romika, but for the person who pulled the trigger, it symbolized something else. A life moving forward, a woman choosing peace, a mother standing strong. In that twisted psychology, that independence became the final insult. The public setting didn't stop them. It proved the point they wanted to make: power, domination, control. Carlos's role in placing Romika in a headlock implicates him in the escalation. Forensic psychology notes that perpetrators often act with a co-actor who either directly helps or fails to extinguish the threat. His inaction and presence at the scene increase the risk factor for deadly outcomes. While the investigation remains active, social media and community discussions have fueled a wave of speculation surrounding the case. Some users have suggested that Romeca may have been portrayed as the aggressor, citing reports of a restraining order that listed Johnson as the protected party. Others online have theorized that Romeca's former partner, Carlos, may have played a role in escalating tensions between the two women if he maintained romantic ties with both. Many have expressed outrage that the alleged shooter has not yet been arrested or charged, arguing that this situation falls far short of self-defense, especially given reports that both Carlos and Johnson arrived at the school armed before the confrontation occurred. Additional online speculation claims the incident may have been a premeditated ambush. Despite these circulating theories, authorities emphasize that the case remains open and ongoing, with detectives and the state's attorney's office continuing to gather evidence, review witness statements, and work toward a just resolution. Forensic psychologists warn that these cases rarely happen out of nowhere. They follow a predictable escalation, control to isolation, to threats, to violence, to homicide. The goal now isn't just to seek justice for Romika, it's to recognize the patterns that lead to stories like hers and stop them before they end in bloodshed. In just a few minutes on that morning, long-standing rivalry, perceived threats, and unresolved conflict exploded into violence. Forensic analysis would label this a situational escalation, where jealousy, shared parenting dynamics, and access to a weapon combined to deadly effect. This is more than a tragic headline. It's a warning. It tells us conflict doesn't always wait for the dark. Violence can erupt in broad daylight, at the safest of places. And for every mother dropping off a child, this story whispers, protect your goodbye. Trust your instinct. Romeca Meeks Blackman did everything right that morning. She wrote the note. She dropped her son off. She walked back to her car. But the world changed in the blink of an eye. We remember Romika for the day she died, but her life before the tragedy tells us something more profound. She balanced motherhood and ambition. She nurtured hope in a city that often demands resilience. She showed up, always, for her son, her friends, her family. Her early life wasn't defined by the act of violence alone. It was defined by love, by a promise, and by a fatal moment that stole what she had built. Let her story be more than a statistic. Let it be a memory with purpose. If you or someone you know feels trapped in a fight that's escalating, seek help. Call 1-800-799-SAFE or visit www.thehotline.org, because love should look like a note in a lunchbox, not a funeral in a school zone. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, not just for the story, but for the change.